there's the shot, and here's the guy. Does the guy look? Does he look freaked out? Does he look weirded out? Does he look like he just witnessed an assassination? No, he looks like he's calmly walking backwards.
And then he joins the group.
Let's watch it again. So you see the bullet. So you see that little flash? That's the bullet. And here's the guy right here. They say he's got one of these guns. And it certainly looks like he might. Why would he keep the camera like that? Why would he keep it like that and walk back?
For weeks, the story felt finished. The suspect was in custody. The headlines had already decided who was guilty. But then, one piece of footage surfaced. Just a few seconds of shaky, grainy video, yet enough to raise a question that cuts to the heart of justice itself. Did the world accuse the wrong man? This was supposed to be an open and shut case, a community devastated, a life taken, and a young man, Tyler Robinson, branded as a murderer before his trial even began. But tonight, something has shifted. A single clip, now verified by multiple analysts, is challenging the timeline, the position of the shooter, and the very foundation of the prosecution's claims. If what this footage shows is true, the story we've all been told, the story repeated on every news channel, may not just be incomplete, it may be wrong. This is the moment everything changes. The moment when one video forces an entire nation to ask, what if Tyler Robinson never fired the shot? Stay with us as we break down the evidence, the timeline, and the truth hidden between the frames. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because what you're about to hear could change everything you thought you knew about this case.
September 10th, 2025, a date that would shake an entire nation. It was supposed to be an ordinary campus event in Utah. Students gathered, cameras rolling, questions flying. But within seconds, chaos erupted. A single gunshot silenced the room and claimed the life of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. Panic followed. Screams echoed through the auditorium as security rushed to the stage. Within minutes, the scene was sealed off, and within hours, the story spread like wildfire across every major network in America. The headlines were swift and absolute. Tyler James Robinson, age 22, arrested for the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk. Authorities moved fast. They described a clear chain of evidence, a weapon found near the scene, traces of DNA allegedly matching Tyler Robinson, and digital messages said to express anger toward Kirk's political views. To the public, it all seemed certain. The pieces fit. The motive sounded convincing. The evidence looked solid. But what few people remember is that Tyler wasn't arrested on the spot. For more than a day, he was nowhere to be found. 33 hours after the shooting, it wasn't the FBI who found him. It was his own parents who turned him in. At the time, it was seen as the act of responsible parents doing the right thing. But as more details have emerged, some now wonder if that decision might have changed everything. Prosecutors painted a simple picture, a politically motivated act of rage that ended in tragedy. Tyler Robinson, according to them, had both the intent and the means. Across the country, people mourned. Candles were lit, vigils were held, and the call for justice grew louder by the hour. The case seemed airtight. Until now. Because new questions are being raised, not by online speculators, but by independent analysts, eyewitnesses, and even fragments of the official evidence itself. As we continue, we'll uncover how the cracks began to show, and why what happened in those missing 33 hours may hold the key to proving Tyler Robinson's innocence. Stay with us. The truth behind the headlines is only beginning to unfold. As investigators pieced together the official timeline, small inconsistencies began to surface. Small enough to overlook at first, but large enough to raise doubts once examined closely. The first question came from the surveillance footage. According to early police reports, multiple security cameras were recording the event from every angle. Yet, one key angle, the camera positioned directly behind the stage, was missing from the released evidence. Officials described the footage as incomplete, citing technical malfunction, but independent analysts quickly noticed the gap aligned precisely with the moment of the gunshot. That was the first crack. The second came from eyewitnesses. Several people seated on the left side of the auditorium claimed the sound of the shot came from their right. Others swore it came from behind the stage. When asked to point toward the direction, no two accounts fully matched. And yet, every one of them described something strange. A man in the crowd holding what appeared to be a camera, not raised high to record, but positioned at chest level, steady, and aimed toward the stage. Seconds after the shot, that same man was seen lowering the device, turning, and calmly walking away, even as others dropped to the floor in panic. Online analysts slowed the footage frame by frame. Some claimed to see a small flash from that very direction just before the crowd reacted. Others dismissed it as lighting distortion, but the question refused to go away. If Tyler Robinson was the shooter, why does the visible reaction of the audience suggest the shot came from the opposite side of the room? The inconsistencies didn't stop there. The timestamps between the primary event footage and the backup recordings didn't align perfectly. Even minor 2-second discrepancies can be explained. But in this case, the gap appeared exactly during the time the shot was fired. These were not online rumors. These were findings now being reviewed by independent digital forensics teams, some of whom have formally requested access to the unedited raw footage from investigators. And as each frame was examined, a disturbing realization began to take shape, that the scene might not have unfolded the way the public had been told. Could Tyler have been misidentified in the confusion? Could panic, noise, and shock have led witnesses to point toward the wrong man? For now, these remain questions, not conclusions, but each unanswered question adds weight to a growing possibility that the case, once thought to be airtight, is no longer as certain as it seemed.
Before the headlines, before the courtroom sketches and the flashing mugshots, there was just Tyler Robinson, a 22-year-old former student trying to find his place in a divided world. Those who knew him described a quiet young man, thoughtful, often reserved, sometimes outspoken online, but never violent. He had no criminal record, no pattern of aggression. Teachers remembered him as the kind that stayed after class to ask questions, not the kind who raised his voice in anger. Friends from school said Tyler often struggled with the noise of politics around him. He followed debates, voiced frustrations, but he never crossed the line into threats or hostility. His social media showed frustration, yes, but also empathy, reflection, and confusion about a world that felt increasingly polarized. When the news broke that his name was being linked to the shooting, his family didn't believe it at first. They called him repeatedly, trying to reach him, trying to understand. When he finally came home, tired, frightened, and silent, they made the most painful decision any parent could make. They called the authorities themselves. It wasn't an act of betrayal, it was an act of fear and of faith. They believed that by bringing him in, they were doing the right thing, that the truth would protect him. In his first statement through his attorney, Tyler's words were simple and unwavering. "I didn't do it." To many, those 4 words were just another claim of innocence. But to others, to those who've seen the inconsistencies, who've studied the footage, who've compared the angles and the timestamps, those words now carry a weight that can't be ignored. Because behind every case file is a person, a family, waiting for the world to remember one principle that should never fade: innocent until proven guilty. Now, the search for truth moves from speculation to scrutiny, inside the walls of a courtroom where every second of footage and every fragment of evidence will soon face re-examination. Forensic experts have begun a new review of the video materials, using advanced frame stabilization and light mapping technology to determine whether that flash seen in the viral clip aligns with the official version of events. These are the kinds of tests that don't rely on opinion, only on data, and their findings could redefine what investigators believe happened in those few critical moments. Tyler Robinson's defense team has already filed several motions challenging how certain evidence was collected and requesting that unverified digital materials be tested independently before being shown in court. They argue that too much of the case rests on assumption, not confirmation, and they want every pixel, every timestamp, and every record reviewed in full. Meanwhile, the public continues to call for transparency. Thousands have petitioned for the complete release of the unedited CCTV recordings and for clarity surrounding the autopsy findings that have not yet been made public. The next court date will determine whether these materials can be admitted as official evidence, a decision that could shift the direction of the entire case. If the new footage is authenticated, it may alter not just the prosecution's timeline, but the nation's understanding of what really took place that night. Until then, the story remains suspended between two versions of the truth, one written in official reports, the other still unfolding in the pursuit of justice.
Two families shattered, one nation divided, and one question that still echoes across every courtroom hallway, every living room conversation, every headline that fades too quickly. Did the system get it wrong? A young man waits behind bars holding to his claim of innocence. Another family mourns a voice that can never return. Between them lies a truth that no one has fully uncovered, a truth buried beneath reports, recordings, and reactions that the world was too quick to believe. Justice isn't a race to judgment. It's a commitment to patience, to honesty, and to asking the hard questions even when the answers make us uncomfortable. Because in every case like this, there's more at stake than one verdict. It's our collective trust in the system that promises fairness for all. As this case continues, one fact remains. Speculation may fade, but evidence endures. And in the end, truth always finds its voice, no matter how long it takes. Stay curious, stay critical, seek truth, not noise. And if you believe every story deserves to be told completely, make sure to subscribe and follow this investigation as we continue to uncover what really happened that day.